I want to start this by saying a little something about loyalty. And then I'll get into the introduction. Loyalty is easy when you're not being tested. But when you're being tested, it's hard to be loyal. And I know that the mainstream media will come out and say, you went to this town, how dare you? They're all terrible people there. Why would you go to South Africa and see the Afrikaners? They did the same thing to us when we met with the Alternative for Deutschland party at our gala when we had them speak. And at my gala, I said very plainly, I said, you want us to denounce our friends? Then here's a denunciation. We denounce the fake news media that will try to turn us against our friends. You don't get to decide who we talk to or what the narrative is. We decide that. So if you want me to denounce Orania, here's a denouncement. We denounce the fake news media that will drive a wedge between the New York Young Republican Club and Orania. And Joost put it perfectly, I think. We're all on the same boat. That's the boat of Western civilization. Even the dog knows. That is the boat of Western civilization. And the Marxists and the globalists are crashing onto our ship. But there's nobody I would rather have next to me than Dr. Ernst that brought us here and Joost. If our boat is taking on water, I want the two of them next to me with a bucket. And I want each and every one of you there with us. And I also have to say, on the home front, everybody from the New York Young Republican Club delegation, please stand up. Please stand up. These young men and women have boldly entered the continent to speak about the plight of the Afrikaner. I have two people that I want to shout out in particular, one of them being our international chairman, Alex Jaros, who many of you know. He has been incredible in fostering these connections. Without him, we could have never done this. So Alex, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I appreciate it. My beautiful fiance, of course. I have to shout out my fiance. I said to her, you guys can sit down now. I said to her, baby, we're going to Africa. And she said, all right, I guess. And I also have to shout out our press chairman, Ian McMath over there, who truly, he trekked my Yubo with that camera. So I'm sorry if we have red necks, but it was for a reason. But I'm going to ask the question now that many around me asked me when I said I was going to Africa. They said, why the heck are you going to South Africa? What's down there? Even members of the club said, why should we care? And I think there's two big things here. Is that this is a fact-finding mission for us. We're coming to South Africa because BEE, as they call it down here, is the same as DEI in the United States, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what I've found is the United States may have invented woke, but South Africa has perfected it. We came down here to see the problems. Total poverty. Culture and a history that is being torn apart. People that are being marginalized. We needed to find the problems here. The second thing is, I believe that the Afrikaners are our civilizational kin. We share something together, Americans and Afrikaners. But we didn't just come here to find the problems. We came down here to find the solutions as well. And I truly believe at this moment, I'm standing in the solution. This country is a country of dichotomy. It's a stark dichotomy from one another. Extreme poverty, but some of the most gorgeous beauty that you've ever seen in your life. I went to Pretoria and I saw the statue of Paul Kruger. And we had to go through a fence to get to the statue. A fence to stop people from defacing that statue. And when they weren't defacing it, they were tearing the guns off of the statue's hands to melt it down. That's how much your culture means to this government. They're willing to tear your statues down for scrap metal. But in that same breath, I come here and I see Paul Kruger boldly standing. I see a community that's ready to venerate one of its heroes in a place where he should be venerated. Dichotomy. The problem and the solution. And they want to tear down that statue because of what it represents. What it represents is civilization. And I look at the statue and I notice that one of Paul Kruger's thumbs is missing. And I asked Dr. Ernst's brother, who was giving us this tour, I said, "Where's the thumb?" And he says, "Well, Paul Kruger was hunting a lion. And when Paul Kruger was hunting that lion, his gun blew up in his hand. His thumb was mangled, and they were afraid that he may get gangrene. But Paul Kruger didn't see a doctor. He took out his knife and he cut his own thumb off because it was now useless to him." And that's what I see here in Orania. You've said, we don't need the government's help. We don't need what they have to offer. We don't need to be indoctrinated. We will cut off the thumb of the government and do it ourselves, here, ourselves. And what I see here as a solution is vision. I see a vision here. And if I could quote Proverbs 24:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. I see a government outside of here with zero vision whatsoever. And if they want to talk about how we've only come here to see one side of the story, we went to Johannesburg. We saw poverty that you could not imagine. Well, you all can imagine. But for an American mind, you could not imagine. A lack of vision. But when I come here, I see a vision. I see a plan. Because as you told me, a farmer makes a plan. A boer makes a plan. And one thing that struck out to me the most was a field. There was a rugby field. And this rugby field that was going to belong to a school for children to play, They needed to figure out a way to flatten the land. So they brought people in to lay down sand, and if I'm telling the story wrong, please jump in. But they brought people to lay sand, and the children came out and they planted the grass for the next generation of children to be able to play on that rugby field. Because it's not about them. It's about the vision for the next generation of students that will be able to play on this rugby field. Everything that you do, every swing of the hammer, is for the next generation of Afrikaners to live and grow and be successful here. I've seen vision. And when I went to see the students, and remind me the name of the school, please. CVS? CVO. When we went for CVO school, and one of the headmasters is here, I saw these students, precocious, smart, sharp. And I asked them, what's your favorite class? And near universally, they all said Bible. Bible is our favorite class. I saw little giants at that school. I saw little giants like on your flag. And it reminded me of a Bible verse, another one. A country can only flourish when it's rooted in something greater than ourselves. So Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 to 27. Therefore, everybody who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the storms rose, and the wind blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundations on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came, and the storms rose, and the wind blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. If those students are any indication, you have built your house on the rock. The government may blow on this house, but it will not fall. The media may stir up its lies, but it will not fall. Everybody could be lying about you, but it will not fall. Because when you place your faith in Jesus Christ first, He is the most loyal friend you will ever have. So what comes next? We've come, we've seen it. We've witnessed Orania for ourselves. What comes next? As you grow, the media will be all over you. As you grow, there will be challenges. I can tell you, even in my own club, the closer you are to greatness, the more the crabs will pull you to the bottom of the barrel. The advice that I can give you, be strong. Be like the oak, immovable. Don't give an inch. Your enemies are never going to be your friends. Wield your power courageously. Wield it that your enemies don't like you. Because there are people out there that want to be friends with everybody. I'd rather be on truth's side than friends with everybody else. Stand firm like our club has stood firm. Be builders. Be courageous. Be who you always are. Be the Boer. Be the Afrikaner. Be the pioneer. And you will always have a friend in the United States that will stand shoulder to shoulder with you. And you're lucky that you have a leader like Just who makes these connections. He has brought us all together for a reason. So I want to thank you all for having me here today. You have inspired me more than you can ever imagine. And I've told this story a couple times now, but the beauty of this country, me and my fiance, who are getting married next year, we might just have to come down for our honeymoon. I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your hospitality. Be the Boer. Thank you.